issue, the citizenship, the national legislature, after several attempts, referendum, discussions from one point to another, they say they have passed a dual citizenship law. Liberian, in the mind of their representatives and senators, they are now saying they are going to enjoy dual citizenship. And it is that issue for which we are here this morning, and we are glad that you have joined us. What you can do for us is to share this broadcast and make a comment necessarily. We will be glad to answer your questions and your concerns if we can. If we cannot, we will do research and be able to provide you the answers. We do not have knowledge sufficient that we can answer every question that comes before us as in the truest sense of the word. So this morning we're discussing dual citizenship. What is dual citizenship? For some of you who know what dual citizenship is, if I would teach you this morning, I would ask you, what do you understand when they say dual citizenship? Dual citizenship is anyone, man or woman, who decided to take on more than one citizenship. That person has dual citizenship, provided if the laws of the countries that he wants to take dual citizenship of are clear, they permit that indeed somebody can be a citizen of their country and be a citizen of another. In the absence of a cogent law, you cannot claim to be a citizen of more than one country. So what, in the case of Liberia, the primary law of the country is the Constitution of Liberia. What does it say when it comes to dual citizenship? But before then, let me give you some little background as to where Liberia is coming from to this point where the legislators are saying they have passed a law that gave Liberians the right to enjoy dual citizenship. Most of you can remember that when George Weah took power, he promised Liberians that he was going to ensure that they enjoy dual citizenship. Prior to George Weah, this issue has been discussed over and over and again, that Liberians want to enjoy dual citizenship, or these people of Liberia want their constitution to provide them the right to enjoy dual citizenship. And on that basis, the national legislature, the current legislative branch of government, of the Liberian government, they passed a joint resolution to amend the Constitution of Liberia. And that resolution was tried, that amendment that was sought. Some of the propositions, or the primary proposition, one of the propositions that went in the December 2020 by-election was to amend the Constitution of Liberia to allow dual citizenship. So look at some of the provisions. Let's look at Article 28 of the Liberian Constitution. What does it say? Is it that Article 28 of the Liberian Constitution allows dual citizenship, or is there any phrase? Is the text of the Constitution denying dual citizenship? And if so, if the legislators have passed a law considering dual citizenship for Liberians, can the law and the Constitution, which of the two can be relied on? So let's read Article 28. It's right on the screen here. It says there's Article 27 and 28. And for purposes of this discussion, My emphasis is on Article 28 of the Liberian Constitution. What does it say? It says, any person at least one of whose parent was citizen of Liberia at the time of the person's birth shall be a citizen of Liberia, provided that any such person shall, upon reaching maturity, means age 1823, renounce. Now, that's the word I want you to underscore. When you reach the age of maturity, the age at which time you are a man or a woman, you can do anything for yourself. You should renounce any other citizenship acquired by virtue of one parent being a citizen of another country, period. No citizen of the Republic shall be deprived of citizenship or nationality except, now underscore that, except as provided by law, and no person shall be denied the right to change citizenship or nationality. Now, there are few key issues, the key words here. When you reach the age of maturity, the Constitution of Liberia says you must have renounced any other citizenship. That's a key word. Why the framers of this Constitution said you must renounce the citizenship of any other country if you want to be a Liberian. The reason is that Liberia does not, the Constitution of Liberia does not consider dual citizenship. Until this Constitution is amended, any other law that runs contrary to the Constitution is null and void. Hello? The Constitution, Article 28, says when you reach the age of maturity, the framers, those who existed before us, you must have renounced any other citizenship. So if the Constitution says you must have renounced any other citizenship, the question I will ask is, can there be a dual citizenship in the face of this provision of the Constitution? And to answer this question, if I was doing a legal pleading, I would say no. As far as this article is concerned, the Constitution of Liberia is concerned, it does not consider dual citizenship. Somebody will say, Jensen, that you're only talking. Except this Constitution is amended, these provisions are amended, I feel strongly that the law said to be passed, even though Joe we have not signed it yet, or maybe he signed it last night, and maybe it will be printed into handbill before the week comes to an end. But that law versus the Constitution, which one suffice? Which one stand above the other? Is it the law that legislators pass or the Constitution of Liberia? Let me be clear here. The Constitution is not an easy process, and there was a reason why, or in legal practice, there's a reason why the Constitution cannot be changed overnight, because of somebody very fear. If the government of Liberia had a right to change the Constitution, they would have run pen in Article 28. But no, Sonny Okusu's song we just played said, give power to the people. This is what the framers thought, that before you take some major decision like one Liberian to enjoy dual citizenship, they must decide. They must go for referendum. Now, one will wonder, why did the legislators in the first place pass a resolution amending the Constitution? And that amendment went to election, and it failed. That resolution that was passed by the national legislature was intended to amend the Constitution of Liberia. Where do we stand in the face of these kinds of legal discussions? There are lawyers in the country. Maybe some of us, we don't know the law so much, but this is the Constitution of Liberia that speaks. Where do we stand as a people and nation? We will go down to the American. I will use America as an example while we discuss what Liberia should be expecting. But as far as this law is concerned, and in this Article 20, it says what? Except as provided for by law, and no person shall be denied the right to change citizenship or nationality. If you want to give Liberian dual citizenship, you have to amend this provision. There's so much clauses and words in this provision of the Constitution that speaks of, or there's so much clauses of or words that speak of one citizenship, meaning you must be a Liberian and only a Liberian. And that anyone by the age of maturity has the right to make a decision to take on citizenship of another country. It says you cannot deny anybody that right. So if the Constitution speaks this way, the only way to go around it is to amend the provision of the Constitution. It didn't say that. Let's go to the Alien and Nationality Law. This Alien Nationality Law was passed in fulfillment of the constitutional provision that we just read. Nationality and naturalization. The following in 20.1 citizens of Liberia at birth. So when you are born in a country like Liberia, you are automatically a citizen of that country. Or at age, in this provision, it says at age 23, you have a right to decide whether you want to be a Liberian and not to be a Liberian. That right, now, a right of a citizen is is within them, is within their mind. If anybody wants to be an American citizen, that person at age of maturity make that decision. There are laws, even though, that if your parents are citizens of another country and you are born in that country, some laws of those countries permit that child to be a citizen of that country. Like, for example, America. In fact, for America, the fact that you are born here, that gives you right to enjoy the provision of citizenship in that country. Particularly so if your parents are citizens of the United States, you are a citizen of this country. Okay, so let's read what section 20.1 of this is the 1973 Alien and Nationality Law. You can find it and read. It says the following shall be citizens of Liberia at birth. A person who is a Negro or of Negro descent, born and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, is a citizen of Liberia. So if a person who is a Negro or of Negro descent, some people say this is discriminatory. Well, that is not the concern I have here this morning. All right? So you are a citizen. When you are born in Liberia as a Negro or from a Negro descent, you are a citizen. B says a person born outside of Liberia whose father was born a citizen of Liberia, whose father was a citizen of Liberia at time of the birth of such child, and 3 had resided in Liberia prior to the birth of such child. So there are 3 conditions here upon which a child is born unto a Liberian father can enjoy citizenship. A child who is a Liberian citizen by virtue of the provision of subparagraph B of this section shall lose his citizenship unless he has resided in Liberia before attaining the majority, or unless when he attains his majority and before attaining the age of 23, he goes before a Liberian council and takes the oath of allegiance to the Republic of Liberia, required by a petition for naturalization. So the child, like born in America, when you reach or before you reach 23, that child wants to be a Liberian. This law says you must have gone before the consulate and take an oath, meaning that you go, you fill in all the paperwork, and you naturalize yourself as a Liberian. If you are born in America, you are automatically a citizen of America. The law of America says that. So this law, the freemen of yesterday, the legislators of yesterday, said they knew that some of these things have to do with other laws of other countries. So they said when you reach the age of maturity, even though your father born you in America, for example, but before you reach 23, you must have decided whether you want to be a Liberian or an American. The American law also says that at that age, you make a decision whether you want to be a Liberian or you want to be an American. So pass the law. Now, let me be clear here. I haven't read the provisions of the law passed. So we're starting the preliminary discussion. And by the time we get hold of the law that was passed, we will again invite, we talk to some other person, some other lawyers too, to come here and discuss this matter. But as it is, we are giving our preliminary talk to what is being heard from the corridors of the legislature, from the newspapers that have been publishing information about this dual citizenship. And so we want to look at it in the face of the Alien Nationality Law, the Constitution of Liberia, and see whether dual citizenship can work for Liberia as of now. So this is the law. This is the Alien and Nationality Law, or the Nationality and Naturalization Law, and the Constitution of Liberia. So which is which? Now, having said that, let's go into some other little rudiments or some other issues that will come up. Let's assume now, let's agree that there is a law. Let's assume, presumably, we say there's a law that allows Liberians to enjoy dual citizenship. Let's say that way and go into some other issues. Let's use America for an example, because I studied immigration law in America, so I have some little understanding about American immigration law. Before then, let me emphasize there was a case that was handled by the Supreme Court of Liberia. There's this Jallo's case before the whole nationality issue came about. Jallo teach. He went to the Liberian embassy in the United States and wanted a Liberian passport to go to Liberia. And he was denied because the embassy said Jallo was an American. So they gave him a visa and not a passport because he was an American. Because of that, Jallo got this. He petitioned the Supreme Court that he was being denied his right without any due process. So the Supreme Court came out and said, well, I think it was, 2019, right? That's a 2019 decision. The Supreme Court came out and said, well, Jallo was right. You cannot deny Jallo a passport until there is a due process to do so. That decision of the court, the 2019 decision of the Supreme Court, did not grant anyone dual citizenship. Did not override the Constitution. They only said before you deny someone passport or citizenship, you must have had a citation, a hearing consistent with law. That person must have had a right to a lawyer before any decision of such could have been taken. Now, out of all of these situations, George, we are coming. Politics. You cannot create law. You cannot make law in the face of wanting to certify a political decision. So George Weah next year is election. All of this situation is all about promises made to Liberian by George Weah. But the reality will set in. And we all should see what will happen thereafter. Having said that, let's go to some of the issues. Liberians have dual citizenship. Let's assume that Liberians have dual citizenship now. The question we ask, can a Liberian United States citizen hold two passports? If Johnson, as a United States citizen, has denied all other citizenship, took the oath of the United States as a citizen of the United States, can he apply for a passport at the Liberian passport at the Liberian embassy in DC? This is a personal decision. That is not my view to tell you, say, don't do it or do it. But there are consequences. The American laws, people argue, it is not clear in the US laws whether the American consider dual citizenship. Lawyers have argued this issue. Some lawyers say that America, by the text of the Constitution or by other laws, by other Supreme Court decisions, dual citizenship is concerned. But from my understanding as someone who studied US immigration law, there are countries that enjoy dual citizenship honor America. But guess what? There are island countries of the United States. There are laws. Sorry, I would have pulled my immigration law book and show you certain things, right? But as I said, there's a preliminary discussion. We will get back to this discussion again. There are fewer countries that Congress has given them the right to enjoy dual citizenship. All right? Those island countries, for example, I think the Philippines, I think Canada, and other countries not. I mean, there's a group of countries that enjoy the dual citizenship with America. But in the face of Liberia, since we discussed this just consider law, can Liberians who have naturalized themselves, who are citizens of the United States, can they take a Liberian passport and go to the port of entry to leave Liberia, to leave the United States with a Liberian passport? Because in the mind of that Liberian X, he considers himself as a dual citizen. He's a United States citizen. Can he go and take a Liberian passport and go to the port of entry? He said, I'm going to Liberia tomorrow, or over the weekend, I'm going to Liberia. So you get a Liberian passport, and then you decided to go to Liberia on that passport. Is it possible? Or is it possible to be outside of the United States and enter the United States with a Liberian passport, having naturalized as an American citizen? Having denounced all other countries, you are taking the oath of the United States. Can you take a passport, Liberian passport, and go to the port of entry to enter the United States? I would say clearly here, don't do it. You can take a Liberian passport if you want to, because Liberia, we're not too clear on issues sometimes. Maybe when you go to Ghana now, get your visa. And when you go to, I don't know whether the embassy in Liberia will give Liberian American visa. But you know you have to get a visa. Let me be honest with you. When you want to go to Liberia, you go to before you leave America, you have to get that visa. Inside America, you can take as long as you are an American citizen, you can take your ID and go any state you want to go to. But to leave the territorial boundary of the United States to go outside, you need a visa to any country you're going to. Or you're passing through any other country, you need that visa. So then you will have to get a visa from the US, from the Liberian embassy in the United States, into your American passport and leave. So what many ordinary Liberians wouldn't understand is that people do these things in the other land of Africa, Guinea, Sierra Leone, Ghana, and they go into Liberia. And when they're coming back, they come with a US passport. So I see some little form of confusion here. I heard some folks on some show, oh yeah, we can now use Liberian passport to travel in and out of the United States. Please don't do it. Maybe you can get a two passport. When you go into the port of entry, you must put that one to the bottom of your suitcase. If you make any mistake and display two passports in front of a border patrol agent, trust me, they will take you off the line. You'll be placed somewhere else. You will be questioned. There will be issues that will come up on you. So, I mean, you cannot live with ambiguities. Don't live with confusion. Do all you can to do the honorable thing you need to do for the people of Liberia. And I can say this: even if there is a government official in Liberia that is of U.S. citizen, the way to go about doing it, you will never know it. People, especially Liberia, sometimes I wonder why we don't want to come claim most of the time. But this is an issue. So you who will likely want to travel to Liberia, please do not use a Liberian passport to go to the port of entry. If you are a U.S. citizen, there's a singular reason why they have a port of entry. And that is to give immigration officers to inspect everyone that is going in and out. And that is to do that on the basis of American law, not on the basis of Liberian law. Liberian law or laws do not have any binding effect on American law, period. So whatever going to be happening, you want to have a confusion? Yeah, if I go to Liberia, they want to treat me like Liberian, that's fine. That's good. But in the process of transacting, now let me say this too. If you enjoy U.S. citizenship, there are benefits. There are a list of things that you can do, and there are a list of things that you cannot do. I'm not sure if you left from here and went and participated into election in Liberia, you voted in Liberia. That will raise some questionable issues. Can I go to Liberia and vote in Liberia and come to America and vote in America? My best advice to anybody would be, don't do it. Be careful. Or seek an immigration lawyer's advice. That's the best way I can put it. If you want to take certain decisions, you are in the United States as a citizen of America, please find your immigration lawyer and seek an advice before you take any other action. Be wise. Don't take decisions because the consequences can be too grave. If you don't have means, ask questions. Don't ask questions on Facebook. Even my discussion here is not law and gospel. It's not an advice to you. These discussions is to enlighten you. And the honest thing we can tell you is, please find a lawyer. Find the best immigration lawyer that can give you an advice. If you are a U.S. citizen and you want to take Liberian passport, you want to travel outside of Liberia, but I'm very sure there will be no immigration lawyer will tell you, say, go Liberia, go and take Liberian passport and go outside of here. You know, it sounds good. Messiah, I want to be a citizen of 10 countries where I can just travel freely, enjoy myself, wherever I want to go, and all of those things. But those things go with obligation. Okay? They have serious obligation. When you become an American citizen, you enjoy, like, for example, you want to go to school here, you're not going to pay tuition as compared to foreign students. Your tuition is the same as ordinary American here. Okay? When you are an American citizen, job opportunities here that for American here, you have opportunity to do those jobs. When you outside of America and let's assume you were in Liberia and there was some upheaval, the American people will recognize their citizens. But let me say this: why, if you went to Liberia and there's some upheaval, but let's say you were going to Liberia, you told American passport, you stopped to Ghana, and then you told Liberian passport, you got into Liberia. The record in Liberia says you are a Liberian then and then. So the American people will be thinking like, hey, Jensen left from here, he went to Ghana. So Jensen is still in Ghana. So if I went to Ghana and dropped my American passport and took another passport and went to Liberia, the American government twisting me, is likely possible that through their own intelligence, they will know that I'm in Liberia, but they will know I'm in Liberia, but not by, I didn't go into Liberia with a US passport. So when there's something happening, the American will sign all that big alert and other stuff. So then they will be thinking about protecting all Liberians, whether you were born or you naturalized, and all of these things. They will send out that warning. Hey, wherever you are, please make sure you see you immediately contact the American embassy because this and this are happening, or these are all just discussions. I'm not saying that's what happened in Liberia. So you go there to tell you, okay, there will be a flight at so time, you'll be at so point, at so thing, will be airlifting Americans. But if you are in Liberia as quote unquote dual citizen, you jeopardize certain things. There are certain things American officials accredited to Liberia can do, there are certain things they can do. However, in the time of crisis, they want to identify their citizen. But what if you went over there, you were in Liberia on Liberian passport and not on US passport, and something happened to you there? What happens? You want to go to the embassy, you'll be thinking, the way I entered this country, my passport, my American passport, did not say I'm here, I'm in Ghana. So you start to find where to go to Ghana. Maybe at that time there is no airplane that easily leaving from Liberia to Ghana. Then you get caught up. Howbeit, it sounds sweet to enjoy dual citizenship. My savior will want to do that and enjoy all the privileges of 2 countries, 3 countries, 4 countries, 5 countries. So there what we are. Can Liberians travel to other part of the world, particularly in the America, with a Liberian passport? No, you can't do that. Don't take the risk. Seek an immigration advice before you take any step. Okay? So when you took an oath to be an American, that oath, sometimes I ask myself, that oath is too, there's so much clarity that you deny all prince, all countries, and you decided, you put your hand up. I, James Johnson, hereby to this day, deny all other persons, all other countries, and what have you, and decided to be an American citizen. As I said, there are lawyers who still arguing whether America considers dual citizenship. But even if that's the case, now let me say this: the best thing that I think that Liberian could do with honesty to stop all of these ambiguities would have been, and I said that, and I said this before, and I'm repeating it, a very good government in Liberia, a congressional body, a legislative body, would have rubbed shoulder with U.S. congressional members and make sure that even a one-page document, a legislation, Liberia has so much historical tie with the United States. And a lot of us have read document that in fact Liberia was bought with the people's money for this country. Now somebody will say, no, our forefather will say, no, I'm not arguing that. I'm saying the name Liberia, the nation Liberia being funded, the Pennsylvania Colonization Society, the Virginia Colonization Society, and the American Colonization Society. They got taxes from the people's money here, and they bought a piece of land in Liberia, in that part of Africa called Liberia. So Liberia only need an integrity institutional persons to rub shoulder with congressional people here. And there would have been a piece of legislation considered by U.S. Congress to allow Liberia to enjoy dual citizenship, like other island countries of the United States. I see no reason why. In fact, this is the time for all of those things. Joe Biden, as liberal as he is, he could help Liberia easily to get a piece of legislation that will put all the whole issue to rest. Well, someone will say, Jensen, you are sounding crazy. Well, that's it. But we speaking because we have read some pieces of laws. No matter what the situation is, whatever you want to do in this period of time, please consult a well-seasoned immigration lawyer. Professor Wadia, my former immigration law teacher, professor, he said when you enter the port of entry, you are at the mercy of that border patrol agent who is there looking through your people who's going to make decision for you. So you don't create a lot of confusion at the port of entry. When you go at the port of entry, that man has a straight mandate. His decision is final there and then. So be careful when you are going outside or you're coming inside. And not because you get US citizen, so you can do anything voluntarily without respecting the laws or the officers at the port of entry. So do all you can. Live by some standards. I mean, there's some YouTube or video I was watching last night. The guy said, I think he came from Italy, right? And then he's traveling. He has 2 passports with him. He's an American, but he went over there for some reason. He got an Italian passport. He entering the United States, and for whatever reason, he said that was the craziest thing he ever did. And then when he went, he introduced his American passport for they allow him to pass through one of the checkpoints. He went to the other place. For whatever reason, he pulled the Italian passport. And they took him off the line. So the agent that took him off the line said, be careful. I'm sending you over there. You might be arrested. The guy said he got so confused. I mean, he said he was out of his mind at the time when that happened to him. It can be too intimidating when you enter the port of entry, especially that of America, and you have a situation that you can't probably explain. I went 2019, I was out of Liberia, I was out of the US. When I'm coming back, and then I reached to the point, and then the guy, for some reason, put me in the place, and for some reasons, I had to ask some other questions and other stuff. And the question suddenly asks, you're not even thinking about it. All right? Something you get out of balance. Just imagine you're in a line for some reason, somebody just say, hey, go on this side. Maybe because of the same passport. You're discussing this passport issue. People are, in fact, this cell phone technology, maybe we'll have find a time one day to discuss that. Because the phone, you are discussing, people know what you're saying, the decision you're making, when you leave in your house, where you're going, all of those things, people are monitoring you. So okay, yeah, I get my Liberian passport. I'm going to Liberia tomorrow. I'm going to use my passport, all of those things. Maybe for some reason you reach out the port of entry, some funny thing happen. Maybe your bag, people emptying your bag and everything, they see with 2 passports. That's the question. Maybe they just take it off the line and put it somewhere else to go answer some questions. Do you want to go through all of the embarrassment? Well, it's up to you. You have your decision to make. My only advisor today to you is before you take any immigration decision, if you are a US citizen, consult your immigration lawyer. Okay? So these are the 2 preliminary issues we wanted to talk about today. Liberia has passed a dual citizenship law, gave you right to Liberian Americans, Liberian Italian, Liberian whatever, Sierra Leonean, Liberia, Ghanaian. I don't know. Maybe I had to take my time to read some of the nearby countries what the immigration law say. All right. So this is where we find ourselves into. When you are a lawmaker, you must have research officers. You must reach out to people who are knowledgeable. And you must do things. Don't make law because you want to satisfy anybody. Don't make law because there's a set condition, there's a situation, you want to please that condition. Make laws, imagine 50 years from now, 100 years from now, when you probably will not even be on earth. Then you make a law. But you make a law with ambiguities, with conflict, situation with some other body of laws, you create more doubt in the minds of the people. I'm not saying, I haven't seen this law. I have nothing to say about it. All I'm discussing this morning is, can dual citizenship exist? Can Liberian use Liberian passport to travel in and out? In my mind, I would say if you are a U.S. citizen, please use the U.S. citizen passport to leave from here and go to Liberia. If you go to Liberia and people welcome you and they treat you like Liberian, that's fine, that's good. Enjoy all of the glory and everything. Another thing I wanted to say is that the Constitution of Liberia, they are intertwined. Some provisions are intertwined. Like, for example, they say before you become a legislator, you must have been a citizen. Now you give a citizenship to other national, like Jensen is an American, you say you enjoy dual citizenship. Then in the same law, you say, okay, you cannot contest for elected position. But the Constitution says as long as you are a citizen, the word citizen is it should be qualified in the Constitution, not in the law. Somebody will say, Jensen, you're talking too much. That's right. No, but that's not it. If you want to qualify citizenship, it must be qualified in the Constitution, not in the law. The Constitution is supreme. Because it's supreme, you cannot say to be a legislator, you must be a citizen of Liberia. Now you pass a law that says you cannot contest for elected positions in Liberia. But the Constitution didn't say that now. In the law, they say, well, okay, you can be a citizen of Liberia by virtue of maybe you have taken another citizenship, so you can be a citizen. We will allow you to be here. But while you're here, you can't contest any position. That law you pass contravenes the Constitution of Liberia. I think on the legislature, I think what is Article 30. I don't have much time to flip these things over, man. Citizenship. Let me see. Can I get to this quickly? Okay. No, I don't think it was this. This is crazy sometimes, right? Okay, let me leave this. No, time is not in my favor, right? So the issue is, if the Constitution says as long as you are a citizen, you can contest election, the words of the Constitution say citizen of Liberia can contest election. Now you make a law, you say, although you are a citizen, you can enjoy dual citizenship, but you cannot be an elected official. Too much ambiguities, too much confusion for the people. Whatever the situation is, be aware that immigration law is one of the complex subjects. Be careful. It can land you behind bars. It can make your life miserable. There are certain things you just cannot do easily. It's easily said than done. Don't be carried away. If you are in America, you are a U.S. citizen, before you take any immigration decision, please do yourself a favor to consult an immigration lawyer. What I'm discussing here, let me issue the disclaimer. I am not an advisor to you. I will be right to tell you this for educational purposes. All right? Consult an immigration lawyer if you want to go to the Liberian passport to get a Liberian passport. Let a lawyer advise you what to do. All right? Albeit, Liberia has passed a law. We wait on the president to sign. If you print it in the handbill, then we bring the law. We get a copy of that. Then we dissect it in the face of the Constitution and even the very immigration law we have here. I like, the framers of the alien nationality law. When you study, I've had an opportunity to study the U.S. immigration law, and I know for sure they have similarities. It's like copycat. The Liberian government at the time is that they took the U.S. immigration law and they just adapted it. Provisions are very similar. Even the issue you're discussing here, nationality and naturalization, is very, very similar to that of the immigration law of the United States. And it's not a mistake. It's because of our origin, our history. Okay? So that's where we are this morning, and that's what we thought to discuss this morning. Post a comment, share the video, and we'll be glad to hear from you guys. As soon as we get a law, we're talking to some other person to see some other lawyer to come here and see how we can discuss some of these very, very, very important issues. Liberia must grow. How to get Liberia growing? Think of better strategies so that you can help to avoid some of the ambiguity, some of the doubt that will come about as a result of decision of 103 persons out of the 5 million persons. Having said that, let's see what more information on dual citizenship is loading the weeks ahead. Keep following to a video. That's so true. All right? This is just more information on dual citizenship is loading the weeks ahead. Keep following to a video. Definitely. Just keep following what we're going to discuss this thing over and over. Liberians, you need to be careful. You need to be guided. And the only information you can take from us today before you take any decision, even though the Liberian lawmakers have passed dual citizenship law. But if you are a U.S. citizen, you are duty bound to respect the laws of the United States. That's the oath you took. If you will change that for any other reason, now the issue is you can be an American tomorrow. You decide to say no, I don't want American citizenship. I go and back to my Liberian citizenship. All you had to do is to follow through the same procedures and other things. Like Joe, we are became a citizen of, I think, what was it, France or Cameroon, whatever. And that's an issue that I took before somebody say, oh, this is not. Joy Weir took on different citizenship. Joy Weir did not go through the rudiments of citizenship of Liberia. If Jensen is a citizen of America, before Jensen can revert to Liberian citizenship, the procedures cannot go through. And the end of the final stage is there must be an oath within the civil law code. To say, yeah, I, Jensen, now hereby deny the American citizenship and now revert into Liberian citizenship. If I don't do that, if I don't go through these procedural steps, I am not a Liberian. It doesn't matter whether I was born in there. But the fact that I voluntarily took upon myself to take a American citizenship, to go by the Liberian path, Liberian, I don't know, we're just different kind of people, right? We don't want to accept reality of certain things. You want to eat your cake and have it at the same time. When you take a unilateral decision, the Constitution says that no one should be denied any right to decide which country you want to be a citizen of. That's a straight caveat. You cannot avoid that voluntary decision is mine. So if we are took on French citizenship to go back to Liberian citizenship, if we did not follow all of the rudiments, we are is not a citizen of Liberia. Somebody said, Jensen, that when you talking. Yeah. Now somebody see, Liberians, I see plenty of things happen. You go online, you want to find the information. People deliberately go and take the information up. But if you take a decision, that decision should live after you. I read another paper. I shouldn't say the one. All right. I read another document about a former president who signed some kind of a document and said they said citizenship for Liberia and Ghana. I said Liberia. Sometimes you don't want to say something you just don't talk everything, right? So let me keep that one back. Maybe the day my crazy guy in me, I will display that paper. Let Librarians see that. So we don't investigate a lot of things. Okay. Having said that, time is fast spent, and that's what we have for you today. Let's see. Amos, why is always following up. Let's see what he says here. He said that dual citizenship is advantages is its advantages and disadvantages. Yeah, that's true. Amos, there are disadvantages and disadvantages of dual citizenship. Trust me. And you're supposed to pay taxes to America if you're a U.S. citizen. Every year you need to pay that taxes here. Now, that's another thing. The fact that people say dual citizen, those who are American, Liberian American, are they going to be, is it automatic? Are they going to tell Liberian American to pay taxes to Liberia? There are so many things that when there is no clarity, citizens are left in doubt. All right. But as the day goes ahead, maybe, and let me say this, those of you who are loyal, Attorney General and all the people there, you must be prepared to explain the law to the people. Don't sit behind and just say you pass a piece of legislation. The people need, the Constitution say you are under obligation to educate the people on whatever you're doing. So when you pass a piece of legislation, you say dual citizenship, you must be prepared to make yourself available at radio stations, at television stations, to write articles, to explain the process to the Liberian people. Tell Liberian whether they can go now. Somebody just said, somebody say, listen to something, and it hurts. So Liberian must go to U.S. embassy, Liberian embassy in the U.S. to get passport. Why would you make that kind of a blanket statement? Why would you want to set that kind of a confusion for Liberia? So the Serena Seafor, the Musa Dane, all the other lawyers in there, even people at the level of courts, lawyers in Liberia, Female Lawyer Association, Liberian National Bar Association, these issues worth discussion. You are serving. The reason why you had an opportunity to go to law school wasn't just about making money, it was for the good of society. See yourself as light in darkness. And so the importance of now the world is changing. This social media thing is not about bluff. It's about where you must get involved in educating the people. We're coming up with a program, Constitution, Laws, and You. And maybe tomorrow we're going to start that program, and we were going to go through the Constitution. We will start from the preamble, in fact, from the genesis of the Constitution, looking at other factors of the Constitution to go all the way to the end of the Constitution. We discussed it piecemeal, and if you have questions, you can ask those questions. Because some of us feel obligated that we need to keep discussing this matter for the good of society. We hope Liberia will grow to the level of appreciation. Dual citizenship is good. The Speaker of Liberia, if he had international connections sufficiently, he would have talked to the U.S. Speaker, and they would have found some common ground, gave the U.S. Speaker the genesis of Liberia, convinced her. She would have seen reason to say, oh, this, I didn't know this. But, oh, yeah, I think with all of you seeing, maybe Foundation would have consulted with embassy officials according to Liberia, and they would have given some, oh, yeah, Liberia had it, blah, 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 blah. Maybe she would have been moved. She said, oh, then with all of those things, I think Liberia should be another state of the America. That probably is another argument we should discuss one day. While Liberia is not a state of the United States, when the taxpayers' money bought that piece of land, they call Liberian. Somebody you want to argue, just text me. I'll bring you here so we can talk. So that being said, we have about 5 minutes to go. I'm just killing some little time. But the issue today, we look at dual citizenship. Can you travel? Can Jensen, as an American, go to the Liberian embassy, get a passport, and say, well, I'm going to Liberia? Maybe I leave even my US passport behind and say, I'm going to Liberia. And go and get to the plane, or like in the terminal, display my Liberian passport. The people with the immigration officers there in. Maybe wouldn't they even see me like a terrorist? Wouldn't they start thinking very funny about me? Wouldn't they, in fact, detain me? So once again, before you take certain decision, it's a different thing to sit on social media and cause noise. It's a different thing just to say, oh yeah, oh, Baku, you're strong. There are certain places before you go, there are people who have their hair on their shoulder, they think beyond you. The way you talk, the way you win your eyes, the way you look around, they're making decisions on those things. Especially when it comes to America. This place is too sophisticated. But ordinarily, we pass by people day and night. We just think it's why it is. No, it's deeper than people that you see. Sometimes you don't just know them. You don't take them for granted. Especially when it comes to traveling, it's a very serious matter. So you want to travel? For now, I would tell any Liberian American, do not leave this country without your U.S. passport. If you want to do that, consult what? Your immigration lawyer. Okay? Okay, Amos says, you are only limited Liberian privileges. Great, Amos. That's some of the issues. So if you take dual citizenship, you're limited Liberian privileges. That's what he said. And he says again, well, this is a sensitive subject matter. Yes, it is. Amos, immigration law is not an easy thing. And that's why when we go to school, we want to find tough subject to take. Because we're not too smart, so we want to know plenty of things. You know, and there's one person who taught me immigration law. I respect that lady. In fact, she's respected in the immigration community of the United States. Professor Wadia, that Indian American woman, she said you can know everything, or when you go into that port of entry, you must know yourself. You must be prepared to answer questions that you don't even thinking about. So compose yourself before you go there. So I'll tell you the same thing today. Before you go to that port of entry, know where you're going. You get a Liberian passport, put it where at the bottom. If you put it at the bottom, be careful. Sometimes when they say about the checking and all of this thing, they see it. Your passport is current. Liberian passport is current. US passport is current. You raise an issue. You think that man had to put an entry here about whether you got dual citizenship? You can tell the man, oh, I'm a dual citizen. I'm a dual citizen. I just imagine, maybe let me say somebody who just out of mind, just feels he know too much. and then he take a Liberian passport, and he gets at the port of entry. He's presented Liberian passport to an immigration officer. When he knows he's a U.S. citizen, he refuses to give the U.S. passport and give a Liberian passport. Imagine what the immigration officer is going to tell him. The immigration officer wants to compare the information in the passport with what is before him. Before him is telling, say, this is this man, Mr. X. He's an American citizen. So the immigration lawyer officer at the port of entry, the border patrol agent, knows very well that the document before him says a citizen of the United States is before you. He must prove himself before you let him pass. Then you go and present a Liberian passport to him. For God in heaven's sake, they will put you somewhere. Okay. Having said that, be careful. Always be wise. Listening to conversations. There's nothing wrong to discuss the matter, but always be careful. Thank you so much. And until then, that's how we want to end today's discussion. Have a pleasant day and be prepared to join us next Monday. We will be glad to always have you with us. It's a pleasure to be here every day and then discuss the team life in that country. Okay? Thank you so much, and bye for now. Just do all the favor, share the video, and ask a question.